on, YouTube world? It's Jay Coffee back at it, man. We got an update here. You see what it is. And before I dive off into the news, right, I just want to say this Morgan J. Freeman, that's not the Morgan Freeman you're thinking of. He's on Twitter as well, but it's not this guy. I mean, he throws the J in there, but I don't know. I feel like because he never has his pick up there, he's kind of playing off the name a bit. Tap in and let me know if you think so. And for any douche out there being like, well, you never have your pick, or yeah, but I'm not on here with the same name as some kind of celeb or something like that. Like we have a similar name and I'm rocking by that and being deceptive, you know? Not to mention, it was funny too. One time someone commented maybe a year or so ago on one of my videos and said, yo, this is a blatant ripoff of CoffeeZilla. And at the time, or maybe it was a couple of years ago, man, as I keep saying, ever since the sickness jumped off, time passes in such a weird way to me, man. Like truly the sand dial or whatever the fuck, that the timer, it just is moving different or something, man. The sun is spinning different, the earth's axis and I don't know. I'm sounding like a dumbass, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Comment if you feel that way, like time has passed differently. Someone said that, and I was like, man, who is CoffeeZilla? At the time, I didn't know. Obviously, they're a huge platform, but I was like, first off, I never knew who that son of a bitch was. I'm just finding out now. And second off, he does like crypto scams and online scammers and financial things, I believe, right? Like, when do I ever talk about that? I mean, don't get me wrong, there might be a situation where I do, but I just can't see how they could even try and play that game with me. But anyways, yeah, the Morgan J. Freeman is this guy right here. That's Morgan J. Freeman, American film director. Morgan Freeman is Morgan_Freeman. But anyways, you see Nobel Prize committee announces Trump has been permanently disqualified from all future awards due to his renaming U.S. Defense Department, quote unquote, Department of War. Now, something I wanted to share with y'all about the Nobel Peace Prize. I could have this a little bit off, but the idea will be righteous, and you know what I mean? And this was on one of those series that I watched about the Sackler family that created, Purdue Pharma and everything, with Oxy and the way they went about pushing the rug onto the people, knowing exactly what it was doing, but they were all about, hitting all the right moves to keep themselves out of the controversy. Comment if you guys have watched that. There's one on Netflix and there's one on Hulu called Dopesick. The Hulu Dopesick one is really good. The one on Netflix was really good as well. But the Sackler guy was saying, hey, because the one doctor who passed away, but was a part of the company, right? He started the, and I fact checked all this when I seen it and found out that it was actually true. And it just blew my mind, man, that the Sackler guy, he had the, what is that one pill? I forget what they called it, but it was like a, what's up with it, YouTube? It's Jay Coffee back at it. And pay attention for this one, y'all. There was a lot of things I want to touch on with this one, and it can be a bit tricky. Now, this is a joke, as you see right here. Breaking news, Nobel Prize committee announces Trump has been permanently disqualified from all future awards due to his renaming U.S. Defense Department, quote unquote, Department of War. And you see the dude put right here. Okay, so this is a joke, but it's too good not to share. So this is not true. Please, everyone understand that I'm pushing that out there to y'all, you know what I mean? Because this was so crazy, man. Sometimes people just take in information all bad. But there was a couple talking points that came from me taking this in that I wanted to share with you. And then you guys could leave some comments on what you take from what I'm saying, if you will, if you feel me. Now, first, You see the name, right? Morgan J. Freeman. Now, this is not the Morgan Freeman that you're thinking of, right? This is this guy. Not lobotomy. That has something to do with something else that we'll get to in a moment. Morgan J. Freeman, American film director. This guy. Not the Morgan Freeman we all know, who speaks for himself. I don't even have to go on anymore. And I feel like, I mean, he throws the J in there to differentiate it, but this account always is coming up and stuff. And I feel like, comment if you feel so that he's playing off the name, because he never has his picture there. So I feel like he's like deceptively doing that. Let me know if you're on, the world of Twitter regularly and you notice that, or you think differently. You're like, yo, or if anyone's out there saying coffee, you don't put your picture up there. But I mean, yeah, but I'm not on here deceiving people with the same name as a celebrity. And there was something funny that I thought of that came to mind was a couple years ago, someone was like, yo, coffee. Someone commented on one of my videos within the past couple of years, this is a blatant ripoff of CoffeeZilla. And at the time, I didn't know who CoffeeZilla was or is, right? I mean, obviously it's a huge platform, but when I checked into it, I'm like, how in the fuck are you going to say I'm ripping off CoffeeZilla? I talk about all kinds of different random things. They, from my understanding, talk specifically about finances and scams and shit like that, crypto scams, like the shit people say. But it was funny to me, the whole Morgan J and Morgan Freeman thing had me think of that. Also, again, this is a joke. This is not true. But the reason why this lobotomy thing was up here, right, is because the comment, if you guys have watched any of those shows, there's one on Netflix and one on Hulu. The Hulu one is called Dope Sick. I forget the name of the Netflix one, but it's about Purdue Pharma, the Sackler family. This Dr. Richard Sackler, he's deceased, you know what I mean? But they brought Oxy, and did it in such a way where they kept their names out of the controversy until long later, after the whole fucking society was so twisted and messed up and they were filthy rich and did some old bullshit, congressional shit, and paid some money in a lawsuit, but they were so rich, like the damage was already done. And I fact checked this. This blew my mind. The whole Nobel Prize thing made me think of this. The Richard Sackler guy, right? Prior to Purdue Pharma and, Oxy, he did the lobotomy in a pill, which was Thorazine, a twisted mental medication, which I think is still on to the market this day, but he called it the lobotomy in a pill. Obviously today, lobotomy is looked at as a barbaric, it's just disgusting even thinking about it, what they did to people. But I think when he ran with the Purdue Pharma name and tried to get away from that, right, the Nobel Peace Prize thing brought this to my mind, because they have him in the show telling someone this about your name's going to be Ish or whatever, right? He was like, yo, such and such, right? I forget the name of the person. And again, I know I could have researched this and I'll put it up, but sometimes, as I always tell you guys, I like to just come on here and talk, real quick with it. And, you guys can comment it. I feel like it makes for a bit of more interesting conversation. But he was saying how he could clear his name up. The Nobel Peace Prize, whoever started it or is tied to it, prior to all that, something that they made dynamite or some kind of chemical that was used in explosives or something like that was, I can't recall if it was tied to Nazis or just war period. He came up with some kind of formula or explosive, and militaries used it, and it was tied to death and destruction and all these horrific things. He said, I'm gonna start this Nobel Peace Prize, so instead of being remembered for the death and destruction, I'll be remembered for peace and all this, and I just kind of found that interesting. And in a nutshell, I guess that's how this joke tweet here about Trump, which again, it's a joke, it's not true, coming from a Morgan Freeman imposter, if you will, brought all this to mind, So just wanted to share that with you guys. Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. And if you're new, we talk about music, news, sports, all kinds of stuff over here. Thanks for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.